I am Jackson Keller. My passage comes from Charles Dickens' Bleak House, chapter 36. In this passage, Lady Dedlock reveals to Esther that she is her mother. This scene is important to the development of both as characters, because both learn an uncomfortable truth about each other. But they can't properly share this moment, since Esther is an illegitimate child, and Lady Dedlock does not want to bring shame upon herself or her husband. I was resting at my favorite point after a long ramble, and Charlie was gathering violets a little distance from me. I had been looking at the ghost walk lying in a deep shade of masonry afar off, and picturing to myself the female shape that was said to haunt it. When I became aware of a figure approaching through the wood, the perspective was so long and so darkened by leaves, and the shadows of the branches on the ground made it so much more intricate to the eye, that at first I could not discern what figure it was. Little by little it revealed itself to be a woman's, a lady's. Lady Dedlock's. She was alone, and coming to where I sat with a much quicker step, I observed to my surprise than was usual with her. I was fluttered by her being unexpectedly so near. She was almost within speaking distance before I knew her, and would have risen to continue my walk. But I could not. I was rendered motionless, not so much by her hurried gesture of entreaty, not so much by her quick advance and outstretched hands, not so much by the great change in her manner and the absence of a haughty self-restraint, as by something in her face that I had pined for and dreamed for, of when I was a little child, something I had never seen in any face, something I had never seen in hers before. A dread and faintness fell upon me, and I called to Charlie. Lady Dedlock stopped upon the instant, and changed back almost to what I had known her. "Miss Summerson, I am afraid I have startled you," she said, now advancing slowly. "You can scarcely be strong yet. You've been very ill, I know. I have been much concerned to hear it." I could no more remove my eyes from her pale face than I could have stirred from the bench on which I sat. She gave me her hand, and its dead coldness, so at variance with the enforced composure of her features, deepened the fascination that overpowered me. I cannot say what was in my whirling thoughts. "You are recovering again?" she asked kindly. "I was quite well but a moment ago, Lady Dedlock. Is this your young attendant?" "Yes." "Will you send her on before, and walk towards your house with me?" "Charlie," said I, "take your flowers home, and I will follow you directly." Charlie, with her best curtsy, blushingly tied on her bonnet, and went away. When she was gone, Lady Dedlock sat on the seat beside me. I cannot tell in any words what the state of my mind was when I saw in her hand my handkerchief, with which I had covered the dead baby. I looked at her, but I could not see her. I could not hear her. I could not draw my breath. The beating of my heart was so violent and wild that I felt as if my life were breaking from me. But then she caught me to her breast, kissed me, wept over me, compassionated me, and called me back to myself. When she fell on her knees and cried to me, "Oh, my child, I am your wicked and unhappy mother. Oh, try to forgive me." When I saw her my feet on the bare earth in her great agony of mind, I felt, through all my tumult of emotion, a burst of gratitude to the providence of God that I was so changed as that I never could disgrace her by any trace of likeness, as that nobody could ever now look at me, and look at her, and remotely think of any tie between us. I raised my mother up, praying and beseeching her not to stoop before me in such an affliction and humiliation. I did so in broken, incoherent words, for, besides the trouble I was in, it frightened me to see her at my feet. I told her, or tried to tell her, that if it were for me, her child, under any circumstances to take upon me to forgive her, I did it, and had done it many, many years. I told her that my heart overflowed with love for her, that it was natural love, which nothing in the past had changed, or could change. That was not for me, then resting for the first time on my mother's bosom, to take her to account for having given me life, but that my duty was to bless her and receive her, though the whole world turned from her, and that I only asked her leave to do it. I held my mother in my embrace, and she held me in hers, and among the still woods and the silence of the summer day, there seemed to be nothing but our two troubled minds that was not at peace. "To bless and receive me," groaned my mother, "it is far too late. I must travel my dark road alone, and it will lead me where it will. From day to day, sometimes from hour to hour, I do not see the way before my guilty feet. This is the earthly punishment I have brought upon myself. I bear it, and I hide it." Even in the thinking of her endurance, she drew her habitual air of proud indifference about her like a veil, though she soon cast it off again. "I must keep this secret, if by any means it can be kept, not wholly for myself. I have a husband, wretched and dishonoring creature that I am.